All right, so welcome. We've begun the recording. This is the Development Activities meeting in Oakland on November 13th, 2023. We will now hand it over to the applicant presenting for the 2000 Technology Drive use change project. So with that, I'd like to hand it over to those individuals.
All right, everybody. Thank you for your time. Good evening. Can you see that screen?
Yes, we can.
All right, so my name is Chris Watt. I'm from LGA Partners, one of the designers on this project.
And I'm Heidi Tabor, one of the designers as well from LGA.
So we just wanted to walk you through this project briefly. This project is located at 2000 Technology Drive. As you can see on this map, it's centrally located just outside of downtown. It's kind of centered between the South Side and Oakland as well. So Technology Drive is located in a special district, SP-1. There are some industrial office buildings and parking around this area located near the Birmingham Bridge. The project itself is proposed for about 6,800 square feet of interior renovations. And kind of the purpose and why we're here is because the use that we're proposing is not an approved use in that SP-1 zone. The previous tenant that was located in this building on this floor was a business use. And what we're proposing is also a business use, however, not listed, as I said, as a proposed use. The proposed use is an ophthalmologist office, which is essentially like an eye doctor, but more of a specialist. They are a doctor of medicine, and it's really focused on eye care. Like I said, the interior renovations are about 6,800 square feet. There's no alterations to the exterior of the building. One of the things that we wanted to bring to your attention is previous tenants had about 40 or 50 employees in the space that we're proposing using in this building. And with the use and what our project is looking at is we'll have about 12 employees in the space, and then potentially 10 to 12 patients at the time. So maybe like 5 exam rooms, and then with some overlap with patients coming and going. Basically, the point I wanted to present here about this is that we're roughly using half of the parking of the previous tenant that was located in this location. And as you can see here, we're just located on the second floor of that building, occupying about half of the second floor. And this is the building. Some of you may be familiar with it. And that's really what we wanted to present today. Fairly straightforward. Again, we're here because the use is not one of the listed uses, but we feel that it fits in with some of the other businesses that are located in that technology park.
All right. Thank you so much Christopher. We appreciate that. We'll start going through and seeing if we have any questions or hands raised in the chat.
Whoops.
So, Andrew, it looks like you have your hand up. Would you like to jump in?
Yes, please. I just wanted to add or clarify that in a special use district, and this is SP2, there is a defined list of uses by right that do not require any additional permitting. For any other use, it's necessary to go before either planning or the zoning board to permit that use. So it's not as though it's not permitted. It is just was not in the initial list of uses proposed. I think it's important to point out that at Bridgeside Point, there's a dental clinic, also a medical office, very similar use that is existing in the park. And as Chris said, this is again, it's another medical use.
Great, thank you, Andrew. And so we'll go to the Q&A here. We have a question from Mavis Rainey. Is the parking utilized by new patients public parking or reserve parking?
So it's parking for the building only. So we have our own parking lot and we have more than sufficient parking for that use. There is certainly public overflow parking, which you can see one of the parking lots that is there. I don't believe that's a public parking lot, but there are other public parking lots in the park. Our parking is really utilizes private parking that we own. That's part of the building.
Great, thank you, Andrew. All right, not seeing any other questions pop up just yet. So last call for any questions or comments on this application. All right, thank you so much for your time. Oh, it looks like one more just came in, also from Mavis. Can you share the construction schedule?
That really hasn't been determined yet. I mean, the first step was getting an approved use, and then we would come back. This is our proposed plan that we were looking at. We'll go through with the client just to confirm that this was the layout that they want for the interior, and then we'd probably anticipate starting, if everything goes smoothly, starting construction in February or March. And then maybe 3 months of construction.
That may be a little optimistic. I think once construction drawings are done, which will take probably 2 months, then I would suspect we're probably looking at currently 6 to 8 weeks for permits. So we're probably looking at construction beginning at the end of the second quarter, realistically.
Thank you. We have one more from Mavis. would you anticipate any lane closures or restrictions on Technology Drive or Second Avenue during construction?
Not at all.
Thank you. All right. I think if there's no other comments, I think we will move on. Thank you so much to the presenters.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
All right, so we'll now move on to the second item in our agenda, which is the Shenley Steps on Forbes Avenue. So we'll invite Chuck to present.
And I just share my screen. Can everybody see that?
Yes.
Great. So good evening, everybody. Thank you for having us. My name is Chuck Elkhorn, planner with the University of Pittsburgh. Here today to present the Shenley Quadrangle Forbes Avenue Steps project. And this project was actually presented to the community last year in October. And there have been a few modifications to those plans, and we were doing some design remakes of a project. So we didn't make it within the 1-year timeline of presenting it to a commission, the Historic Review Commission. So we are back again to present the project and to highlight the new elements that have been modified. So to get everybody acquainted to a site, in the red circle is the Forbes Avenue steps to the Shenley Quad area. Bruce Hall is to the right and Brackenridge Hall is to the left. And you can see the Litchfield Towers, David Lawrence, Hillman Library, and William Pitt Union surrounding the steps or surrounding the area. Also to highlight that this is on the edge of the Oakland Civic Center Historic District, and that's why it needs Historic Review Commission approval. This is a historic photo of a Shenley Apartments back in the 1960s. This is the closest historic image that I could see find of this area. But wanted to highlight that history. And a little bit more of a history. It was actually constructed between 1922 and 1924. So next year marks the 100th anniversary of this complex of buildings. It was designed by the famous architect Henry Hornbostel. And it was originally for the Shenley Apartments in Oakland. And Pitt acquired the buildings in 1956. The current renovation project architects are RSH Architects. And just wanted to explain some of the scope of work. Again, it just falls within the steps from Forbes Avenue to the Shenley Quad. Here's a list of the scope of work: making the current balustrade code compliant, replicate and replace the deteriorating balusters, add metal rods between the balusters to be code compliant, raise original balustrade to give extra code compliant height, and the 3 new elements: add a metal mesh guard on the upper level arcade overlooks, replace the handrails with historic standards, and restore the integrated wall grate. And all these will be explained in the slides to come. So just giving a sense of the area. To the left is an image highlighting the different levels of the steps. You have an arcade level, landing C, landing B, and then Forbes Avenue would be landing A. You can notice that there are no railings or guards on the arcade level, which is against code. And here's a historic balustrade that we plan to raise and rebuild. To the right is an image showing the height of a current balustrade at only 36 inches, and code requires an additional 7 inches to that. So again, more context photos. This is looking from landing C to the arcade level. You can see the bench blocking access to the that edge, and you can see the railings also. Looking from the arcade level down, you can see the balustrades looking towards David Lawrence Hall. And from the other side, again, here's from the arcade level looking downward into the steps. So this slide illustrates the existing rendering to the on the left, and on the right is a proposed. So we do have the new guards, which will have a metal mesh. And then we will be planning to raise the stone balustrade with new limestone and trying to match the current limestone with a new limestone. And here again is a side view of these plans. To the right, you can see in the dark area the raised balustrade with a new limestone, and you can see the new metal mesh railing guard. And I just wanted to illustrate again, in the red outline is a new limestone that will be added to a project to raise the height to make it code compliant. And here's a site view plan of those modifications. Here's a close-up view of these historic balustrades. They are 100 years old, and you can see the wear and tear that they've had during that period of time. They've really withered away. So these will be removed and replaced with replicas made out of sandstone. And another element that we will be adding to the project is actually metal rods in between these balusters. Code requires the area not to be more than 4 inches in width, and these are more than 8 inches. So, for example, a baby's could fall through this area fairly easily. So these metal rods are being added to be compliant with code. To the left is an image example of it being these metal rods being applied elsewhere, and you can just see on the right how it would function on the Shenley quad steps. And we did do a mock-up of metal rods, and this is how it would look in the red circle, fairly blending into the total area. So some context views from the arcade level. You can see that both on the left and the right, beyond the benches, again, is an area without any railing or guard, preventing people to fall off a ledge. So that is being mitigated by the proposed metal mesh railing guards. And the guards that will be installed are actually found elsewhere at Shenley Quad at a variety of locations, and these are the pictures showing those as examples of what will be installed. I also wanted to highlight the current handrails on the site. There was a decision that these aren't fitting into the historic context of the area. So we are proposing to take these out and replace them with these example railings that are found actually at the Cathedral of Learning. The design will be very similar, and we will be using the same manufacturer of these railings for the new handrails at Shenley Quad steps. Another element that will be restored is this wall metal grate. Right now it's pretty deteriorated on the edges. The interior portion will be rehabbed, but the metal framing will be replaced so it can have many more years of life in it. So just one small detail that we're going to be restoring. So that's the project and the examples that we wanted to show. Does anybody have any questions about the project? I see Andrea.
Yes, go ahead, Andrea.
I'm sorry if this is kind of a silly question, but this is because you have to do something else, meaning like you're bringing this up to code because you're in the process of doing some other project, or there's been an injury or something. Like, why now of all time to do this?
Mostly because the balustrades are deteriorating and they do need to be replaced. There will be work going on in the UPS store to the right of this image. And while work is going on in that location, it was decided to enhance these steps. And we felt it was fitting to enhance it to mark the 100th year of a building.
Thank you. One item I did see in the Q&A question from Mavis Rainey. Do you anticipate having to close the sidewalk on Forbes Avenue during construction?
Great question. I don't know the details to that. I would think that we would not close the sidewalk, especially since construction is going on across the street at Hillman Library. There might be a small portion of a sidewalk that is blocked off, but the construction management plan has not been developed just yet. We are going fairly early with this plan, hoping to present to the Historic Review Commission in December, on December 6th. If we get the approval by the Historic Review Commission, we will be going through the process of getting manufacturers on board and getting a timeline for the fabrication of handrails and whatnot. So we expect to know a construction schedule and the construction management plan in the coming months.
Great, thank you. Another question in the Q&A. Are the stairs going to be widened during this project?
No widening at all of the stairs. There just really isn't space to do the widening without substantial demolition and reconstruction. So we are just proposing the new handrails and making code compliant for balustrade and putting in the rail guards on the arcade level. Any other questions? And again, we're hoping to present to the Historic Review Commission on December 6th. And no more information after that meeting.
All righty, thank you so much, Chuck. If we don't see any more questions or comments, I think we can move on to our third agenda item. All right, so finally on the agenda, we have 100 Lytton Avenue. And I believe I need to promote some of the applicant team to panelists. So we have Amy here, good. And she raised her hand, so we'll invite Amy, and I think we'll also invite Greg Dunlap as well. Anyone else we have presenting with your team? Looks like we have Jim as well. Okay. Right, so good, we can see the slide deck for the project here. So yeah, take it away. Just so you know, we're not hearing any audio at this moment, so.
Holly, do you have this, or do you need me to?
There. Can you
There
hear
you
me
go. Or Amy. Okay, great.
now? Sorry.
Sorry.
Apologize.
Sorry.
Good evening. My name is Amy Morton, and I am representing Thomas Hamilton Associates in Richmond, Virginia. The purpose of this presentation is to share our conceptual exterior elevation enhancements for a project that is converting from a Wyndham Hotel to a Courtyard Marriott Hotel. So this is the site plan, and if you can see, can you see my cursor? Yes, okay. This represents the property line of the hotel, and this arrow represents the primary entry to the hotel. As you can see, it's between Tennyson Avenue and Lytton Avenue and Bigelow Boulevard and Fifth Avenue. The keys here are showing where I'm going to be presenting the exterior elevations, the existing exterior elevations to start. This is the primary southwest entry, and this is where you arrive at a street level. So one of the things that we were thinking about proposing is that there needs to be a clarification of some sort of marker at this porte-cochere, because right now this is the main hotel, but there's also a medical center right next to the building, and they share this porte-cochere. So it's kind of hard for guests to see what the direction is for the hotel. The second photo is just to the left of the hotel, so you can see the medical center. And this is also showing some of the existing signage. This is not part of our package, but it does show that the signage is kind of past the entry a little bit. And so having a marker here would help clarify that. Photo 3 is just to the right. So this is the main hotel, and this is a one-story structure that's related to the hotel. At this area, we are hoping to change the awning. Right now, it is quite big and it is low. So if you see photo number 4, you can see that it's kind of dark. So we would like to reduce the size of this awning and kind of lift it up and pull it back to bring in more natural light. This is the back side of the hotel, the northeast entry. It's very similar to the first one I showed you. Again, you have the hotel on this side and the medical building on this side. The last photo is the northeast parking area, which is behind the hotel. And this one is to show you that there is an existing signage that we would be taking off the building and have to patch and repair the existing block. Backing out to the aerial view, this kind of gives you a contextual view of everything around the hotel. Of course, you have the Cathedral of Learning, the Alumni Building, the Department of Neurology, and a parking lot. A little bit closer, again, you can see the Alumni Building, the hotel, with the parking lot. So on to our elevation enhancements. What I wanted to let you know is that the concept really comes from Courtyard's package that they do for their for this generation. So there are limited selections of what they want to use for their hotels, and it actually works pretty well with this building. What we'd like to say is that we want to maintain the existing brick, the existing block. Windows are not changing, doors are not changing. All of that's the same. The only thing that's changing would be the introduction of new paint colors and one new material. So basically you could think of it as that this alpaca color would replace most of the white on the existing building. So that means the boxes around the windows, the stair tower, the base at the porte cochere, and also at these windows as well. We wanted to introduce the Irvine bronze color, which is very similar to the window frames themselves, the P-tacks, and also the existing standing seam roof on the top. So we'd like to use this as an architectural band, a capping, if you will, to identify the building as a Courtyard Marriott. We'd also like to bring this color down into this location where the canopy is over the existing patio. So you can see before the canopy was much longer, and it was also down at this level. So we're pushing it up above this line, this datum line. The last element is introducing a wood-like product. It's a metal panel. So this metal panel would be introduced over the porte cochere area to provide the logo for Courtyard as their entry into the drive. Similarly, on the back, everything's pretty much the same. You can see the use of the alpaca replacing the white, the banding of the Irvine bronze, and again, the new signage similar to the front. On the southeast side, you can see the stairwell a little bit better. And this is existing glass block that will remain, but there are some banding in here and the top of the stairwell that would be that alpaca color. Also, this shows where the awning is in relationship to the side elevation. We would also, any of the service type doors would also be the alpaca color. Lastly, this is the section through the porte cochere. So everything else is the same. What we wanted to introduce, if I zoom in a little bit closer, is to create a screen with this wood-like metal panel system that kind of gives separation between the hotel and the medical building across the way. And that is it.
All right, thank you so much, Amy. with that, we will open it up to any questions or comments. All right, so looking at the Q&A and the chat, and I think one item may have come in. All right, so we do have a comment from Mavis Rainey. Can you share the construction schedule and what restrictions you anticipate on Lytton Avenue, if any?
I can probably answer that. This is Jim Wallen. I'm with RLJ Lodging Trust. We're the owners of the building. Our intention is to start construction. We have a pretty large interior renovation that we're doing to this building that will start. We're planning on starting in December. We're currently in for permit on that now. We don't anticipate any closures. We will have deliveries for sure, but we are going to be staging a lot of the renovation materials within the building, in the garage, below the actual hotel. So it will be pretty unobtrusive to the local neighborhood. Regarding the exterior, we do have some exterior restoration work that needs to be done as well as part of this renovation. So, that'll all be done through swing stages on the building and should have no effect on really any additional traffic or closures or anything like that. Unfortunately, because of the timing here, we think that probably won't start until spring, just because, weather related delays and those kind of things. So most likely we won't be completed with this project until sometime in April. Hope that answers the question.
Great, thank you. All right. Any other questions or comments out there? All right, well, if there are no others, we thank you for your presentation. Like to thank all three applicants and everyone for joining, especially our three registered community organizations. Thank you for co-hosting and coordinating this meeting. If there's no other questions or comments, I hope you all have a wonderful evening and take care.
Thank you.